Hey everybody, I'll pull up YouTube here in 1 second. Apologies for all the background noise, it's just toasty, so let me switch over to the YouTube chat here, and I will also be able to do that. But yeah, I just got the kind of air conditioner going, and it's also a lot more echoey in here. So yeah, 1 second. Hopefully the audio is okay as well. I'll give it a listen quickly, but I tried to put at least like some sort of suppression filter on it so that I don't sound awful. Henderson, the brakes aren't quite full yet, so but I am just working on getting all the stuff set up for it. So there's 11 spots left in the Series 2 mixer. 19 left in the Series 2 and Cup mixer, and then 20 left in the bargain break featuring Ultimate and Trilogy. But it has been hectic around here lately, so give me half a second and I will be able to see chat again. I'm just getting everything ready for on screen here. We are going to mainly focus on the first break. So it's also apologies if it's really echoey in here. My office is pretty much empty at this point. Very, very empty. So it might be a little echoey in here. I never really thought about that being an issue until like now. But hopefully everyone's having a good day. We'll get that. I will get boxes for that out next, and then I will update everything else. But in the meantime, what we'll probably end up doing today is just going through the Young Gun checklist and seeing kind of, or like the extended checklist, and just seeing kind of what stuff's going to sell for. Probably I'll do some work on the video that'll go live later this week, which is going to be what's the word I'm looking for? The tier list for Young Guns. So, all right, Series 2 Trilogy, SP Gamers Ultimate. Yeah, any comments, questions? I will get to them in half a second. I'm just getting all the boxes here. Hopefully everyone's having a good day though. Let's go ahead and get stuff ready. So we don't need Black Diamond. We'll just throw out some boxes. I actually think this is pretty much everything. Except for Parker's Champs, but Ultimate. Look around for boxes. Series 2 that we have. Sure. Sure. That can stay for now. No, we have not, outside of what you've seen. So, unfortunately not. Series 2. Probably don't think we can fall behind. Some Spagoos up. Here, we can put Trilogy over here. Maybe. We'll see. There's a chance. ultimate. I will let me close these plants. That's just top loaders. Because I am clumsy. So getting through it quite a bit. Alright, we go ahead and move everything off of this. Ah, 1 second. Yeah, hopefully the brakes move. And we can just chat, talk hockey too while we wait for them to fill. I'm obviously going to mention the breaks every once in a while. As per usual, never any pressure to fill them. Obviously, would like them to fill, but at the same point in time, like, you can't afford them, you can't afford them, and if you just want to chat, then that's fine too. I don't want this to be a place that like you feel like you have to get in on the break to be involved, or like, it's nice to move them, but at the same time, we gotta understand that might not be everyone's favorite product, or there might be a bit of fatigue with some of the products. So that's fine. Um, it's all about having fun in the hobby and do it in a different way. Amazing how much way is better for the blinds. It's definitely up is better for the blinds. Oh, I can really get it close. There we go. And these ones probably the same thing. I just need to adjust this. Yeah, that's a little bit better. But yeah. Any questions? Let me know. Comments, concerns, stuff like that. Be here chilling. It's that there, and I'm just gonna pick up all the 180 points that I dropped. Oh, they're 130s. There. Yeah, I will have to. So I'll have to check this weekend. We're in the process of getting our place listed, and so I have to move everything. I'll check this weekend. Um, it'll be in the P box. That sounds really wrong. I know what box it'll be in, so it's more or less what I was trying to say there. Cool. All right. Let's see if it's really. I just want to make sure the audio is okay. I might be really quiet. I'm not sure. One way to find out. It also might be like a little bit on the weird for noise cancellation side, but just a little staticky. All right, cool. So 11 spots left. If you've got any questions, let me know. We will be having extended breaks probably posted on Monday, hopefully. Let me remove this. All right. So yeah, in terms of like kind of extended series, who I think will be good and who I won't. It's a pretty top heavy checklist, I would say. I'm not like 100% final on my grades yet for players, but for right now, I am kind of just interested in seeing what players will go for. I don't need to name or keep sitting. It's fine. Cool. So, some interesting things to note is that I think I'm gonna net out with. Let me go ahead and go. Just start. Putting down how many I have. This to this. So there's big news out of Arizona today. In that they're delaying the land auction, which is kind of shocking that it's this last minute, but so yeah, right now for extended series, I have a lot of like high end talent and then kind of a big gap to everyone else. So it's you're essentially gonna get a boomer or bust in this product, I think, for your young guns, and that's fine. There is nothing wrong with that. And you go ahead and turn the air conditioner off just because it's a little noisy. And it's really hard to concentrate with it on. And it cooled it down quite a bit in here, so it should be okay. I can probably take this noise suppression filter off now, so you can hear me better. There we go. That's probably a little bit better. Yeah, if you got any questions about extended, let me know. We can work through the checklist a little bit. But like just some key stuff that I've kind of some key like observations and stuff. My initial grades are that I have 6 players in the A tier, 6 players in the B tier, 7 players in the C tier, and then or sorry, more than 7 players in the C tier. I believe it is like a lot in the C tier and a lot in the D tier. And honestly, C tiers are just like, I don't think they're gonna be really anything major, but yeah. So just kind of go through the list. We can have some fun. We can turn on the display capture and kind of just go through stuff while we're waiting. But 11 spots left, so but yeah, we can go through players, kind of go one by one with who we expect to see and who not. So Calais Clang, I had him originally, like just off the top of my head, I had him as kind of a like low end B tier goalie. But oh, that's the one thing I need to get is my my grade cheat sheet, because that is also super helpful. Where is it? It is. That is it. This guy. Yes, it's this guy. All right. So like I have as a first line forward, top 5 defenseman in the league, or elite goalie, like as their potential, and then plus or minus kind of like deviates confidence, for lack of a better phrase than that. B tier is a top 6 forward, top 2 defenseman, starting goalie. C plus tier is top 9 forward, top 4 D. Here, we can just throw this on the screen. Essentially, this is kind of like the method to the madness. The C's are kind of like the messy area, but yeah. So I think for Cali Klang, and how I do this is I just pretty much pull up their stat page, look at scouting reports and stuff. So for goalies, you kind of just look at save percentage is honestly one of the best ways. Not the strongest. So, and I think he had a little bit more potential back in the day, but just looking at where things net out for him, he's never really been a super high-end prospect, a super high-end goalie prospect. So it's one of those ones that goes into, I'm just going to close off some sheets here. 1 second. Close this off. Close this off. And yeah. So I had him at a B plus. I'm probably going to put him at like just a C minus for now. He is 22, but he hasn't had a real breakout season. So yeah, that's kind of how we'll go about things here. That's Cali Klang. Let's go Logan Cooley next, who I think is just a straight up like A plus caliber player. 44 points in his first NHL season, 20 goals on a pretty underwhelming team. His underlying numbers weren't super strong, but like for someone who just turned 20, pretty solid, and going to be on a team that's going to give him probably a little bit more opportunity. Probably will be the headliner for that team. So for that reason, I'll kind of just put him in that A plus tier. I think he's a legit superstar potential player. Not quite in the same like Bedard level, but should be up there, like perennial all-star type of thing. So same with Merkulov. I think Merkulov is very solid. He's probably going to be one of the like sleepers of the set. If you go ahead and look kind of through his stats, he is older at 23. He's going to be 24 starting next year. He's a little bit on the smaller-ish side, so it's going to be harder for him to break through, but like he had 34 points in 36 NCAA games a couple of years ago. Actually, I guess that's almost 3 years ago now. 55 points in 67 AHL games, which is phenomenal. Point per game this year with 30 goals. Really, really good underlying stuff. I think there's a legit top 6 forward upside. Is it the highest? Probably not. I'll probably end up putting him at a B minus, but I think he is one of the sleepers of the set. Because, like, again, when you go through, you kind of look at their team, what their strength of their team was. And, like, they're fine. Like, Jason Magna, for all the jokes about him not being, like, a regular NHL player, or, like, all the Canucks Twitter jokes, like, he's still a good player. Yes, they have talent in their team, but at the end of the day, like, he was their leading scorer, and I don't think it was a fluke, because even last year, you go ahead and you look at his stats from last year. The problem is that where they will see him. So I think he's just a solid B. You could put him in B minus. I think he's a B to B plus. I think he's got legit top 6 upside. I'm going to leave him at B, just because I think that's a good net kind of grade for him. Sorry, I need to go ahead and put the numbers beside these just so I can go through and then sort. So this is just like kind of method to the madness of sorting through the video and stuff like that. But yeah, so like C minus gets a 9, A plus gets a 1, B gets a 5. Isaac Rosen is probably going to net out at a B plus for me. And another player that I like his game, but like, you know, might not be, he won't be the most popular player, and it might take him a couple of years to, sorry, it's also Isak Rosen, not Isaac, it's Isak. Won't be the most popular player, but just turned 21. He's 6 foot tall. You know, mid first, so there's always kind of been good leading up to it. Got SHL action even if he didn't score a ton at a younger age. Again, he was drafted in 2021. Generally, when you see players playing at the SHL level, even if they don't score a lot at that age, it is a good sign. It means that they're used to like kind of a pro level game. His first year in the AHL was slightly underwhelming, but his playoffs were really strong. And then last year was, again, just a really solid year for someone who is 21. And again, one of the ways that you can kind of go ahead and look this up just to kind of see potential is, you know, you go check out like AHL. Again, Elite Prospects is absolutely phenomenal for this. I have premium, but I don't know if we really need this. So season, and then you can go ahead and go I like going about U21 for this. Just because you kind of can see where players rank, and yeah, you can kind of tell like he's third for U21 players. There's a lot of really solid players in here. Obviously, like Stankoven was absolutely sick. Generally, when a player scores a lot at a young age in the AHL, it's a good bet to make. I mean, look at Dylan Gunther. Why is he listed twice? Kind of funny. I wonder if it's the Utah and Arizona complications there. But yeah, generally players that score a lot are a very good bet in terms of like their overall upside. Again, Zellweger is going to be an interesting name. Matthew Savoie was really solid. Shane Wright looks phenomenal. We'll probably get to Yuri Kulich in a second here, and Isak Rosen is just in that same kind of tier. And again, when you go through and you see that he's probably playing with some pretty good players, it helps out. So, you know, like looking at their roster for this year, it was good. You know, lots of solid players. No one like, I don't know. I like Buffalo's AHL team, so it's one of those weird ones where like I like it. I think he might not be like, I'll probably put him at like a B minus, but I do like his game overall. I might leave him at a B, but he's in that kind of like B tier for me because yeah, you know, you go ahead and look at their team. They don't have a ton of super high end talent down there, but they got lots of production from 2 of their youngest players, which is really good to see. Brandon Bureau's a little bit older. You just kind of look to see where they rank out within the organization. And yeah, he seems to be solid. So that's kind of player you go ahead and you go like, okay, we will give him, I have him at an A minus. I think I'll just give him a B for now. I like his game. I don't know how much I love it, but I like it. I think he's a good bet for a top 6 forward, but I really like Yuri Kulich's game. The reason why I like Kulich a little bit more is that I think he is a, we'll go ahead and give him a 5. I still like Rosen a little bit better than Merkulov, but it's close. I just like how he shoots and he scores more goals. It's just scoring goals at the end of the day is what drives hobby value. It's slightly different, but yeah, scoring goals draws hobby value more than anything. So that is just straight up where we're putting Kulich. And again, I think Kulich is also just slightly younger, I want to say. But yeah, really like his game. 20 years old, like just turned 20, late first, but just really good AHL season last year, which you really want to see. Decent number in the Czech men's league, so that is pretty solid as well. So, and again, there are 11 spots left in the break. We'll go ahead and kind of focus on that while I go through the rest of the players and talk through them. But yeah, next up for the Sabres, we have Ryan Johnson. Same thing, like his game. I think he'll be a fan favorite. I don't think he's going to be like everyone's like favorite player, for lack of a better phrase. But you got 7 points in 41 games. Actually, surprisingly good production. Yeah, no, I'll probably leave him at C tier. Just he's a defenseman. He's not going to break the bank. I don't think he's going to be an elite scorer. And again, that's kind of what you have to be to get any decent grade in as a defenseman in kind of the set. So I think C's pretty fair for him. One of those like good but not great type of players, and just doesn't cut it. So, and then we get Matthew Savoy. I think he's just good. I think he had a really strong year in the dub this year, and yeah, like extremely strong year in the WHL. A little bit of a disappointing World Juniors for him, but we can't put too much of a sample size into the World Juniors just because it is, at the end of the day, a very short tournament, and like if a player is playing through anything like a bit of an injury, they are going to struggle a little bit. So I think I have him at an A for right now. I think him and Coolidge are very, very close. I like him. It's tough. I like his game a little bit more. Like I think it's more relatable to a top 6 game, but I both of them are a good shot to be, I think, a legit first line forward. So yeah. Martin Pospisil is next. He is a player that I don't think will be in the league for very long, but he's going to be one of those like not Brad Marchand caliber, but Brad Marchand caliber in terms of how much you hate him. But like we'll probably chip in, I don't know, like 30 points a season type of thing in 82 games. Absolutely going to agitate other players, going to make sure that he takes his penalty minutes, and will probably endear himself to Calgary. I think he's just going to be a solid top, like kind of top 6 forward. I just don't know, or sorry, not top 6, like kind of top 9 guy. I just don't know how long his career is going to be, and that's my one concern with him. I'd probably put him in between like C plus and C. I think he'll probably be a third liner, but I can also see that career being cut short. So that's like where you kind of factor in like, hey, maybe he'll be a bottom 6 forward. I'm just gonna check on spots quickly. 1 second. I still think there are 11 spots left. Yeah, still 11 spots left. 19 in the. Oh, sorry, we're down to 16 in the cup mixer and 20 in trilogy. 16 in the cup mixer and 20 in the trilogy break. All right, so there's Pospisil. Who else do we have? We have Yaniv Peretz. He's a goalie. Goalies I always grade fairly conservatively. My rule of thumb with goalies is that if you think there's any chance of them being an NHL regular or getting playoff action, always keep one. For Peretz, I'm not too sold on his game. He's 24. I mean, technically has really good NHL numbers because he hasn't allowed a goal at the NHL, but he played most of the year at the ECHL level where he was like 889 in save percentage. And when you go and like you look at the league for save percentage, that's kind of not great. You'd like to see a little bit more from players like that. But yeah. There's good players that are a little bit lower. It could also just be team, right? If the team's bad, then it's going to be a little bit tougher. But I think I just have him at kind of that same C minus tier where he might net out as a like backup goalie, but he at the end of the day he's probably closer to a D. Then there's Lucas Crevier, who I think is just a solid like kind of C minus D plus guy. Probably a bottom pair. Will be at the will probably find himself some NHL regular time, just given that he is tall. Yep. Andre Pavel, some upside there, but not a ton. I wouldn't like. He's just older. And when you have older players, it's just tougher to fully evaluate. Again, he's turning 24 this summer. Has never really had a high flying offensive year. So I think just again, based off that, offensive production is what drives hobby value. He's never really been a high end scorer his entire career. At the end of the day, the only thing you can really give that is fourth line forward or replacement level. I think he's probably closer to replacement level if I'm being completely honest. So we'll just give him a solid D for now. Sam Malinsky, I think, also is kind of a similar track where he is a defenseman who's probably just going to be a tweener, doesn't put up a ton of points, is older. Yeah, okay, his actual production was better than what I expect, but again, he's a defenseman. 27 points in as many games as he had at the NHL level just isn't quite good enough for me to give much more than a D plus to him, which is just, essentially at that point it's a D grade. I think he's a replacement level player who has some upside, but Fantilli I quite like. I think he is on par with Logan Cooley and easily deserving an A plus. Then we get into a couple of Montreal Canadian players, and I will always grade Habs players a little bit higher, just because the Hab tax is a real thing. They just sell better, even if they're if you have two equivalent prospects, the Habs player is always going to sell better. I think he is probably nets out closer to a top 9 forward if I'd have to guess. Again, just the production it was there last year, and his SHL production was actually okay for a couple of seasons. Again, he was drafted in 2020. He played a little bit of SHL, then 11 games with 2 points is fine. 13 games or 43 games with 13 points as a 19-year-old is pretty solid there, but not great. Offense kind of stagnated the following couple of seasons, which isn't what you want to see. His AHL production was really good when he came over for a little bit to Laval. Did good internationally for Sweden last year when he played his 3 games, but this year was just kind of underwhelming on Laval. I think he's got a guy that's got some upside just given where he played at a young level. Low end top 6 forward potential. And again, just because he's a Hab, he'll get a little bit of a bump for me. Put him at a B minus, kind of call it a day. Struble is another guy for Montreal. I think he's just kind of he's a defenseman. He is not gonna be a world beater by any means, but yeah, that's really all that I gotta put there. Probably just a straight up C minus. I don't think there's gonna be a ton of hobby love for him. Yeah. Really not much more to say. Don't think there's gonna be a ton of hobby love, and he's put up points at the NHL this year. You could put him at a C, but I don't know. I don't see him netting out super high. So all right. His AHL numbers this year were also good. That's one that I might throw him in that C tier, just strictly because he is a member of the Habs. Samuel LeBurge. Older forward, I don't think is really going to move the needle. So at that point, it's just kind of like a D because he is not going to move the needle. Probably an AHL, NHL tweener. Like if he gets some games, great. If not, then no. Simon Nemec, I have an A tier. I think he is probably going to be the second or third best defenseman from this rookie crop. He might and probably will beat out his teammate in Luke Hughes. Yep, I'm fine keeping him at an A. Adam Edstrom for the Rangers. We got a couple of Rangers here. I think he is kind of just like an okay forward type of thing. So yeah, he's a winger center. Or no, sorry, that's LeBerge. Edstrom. Again, any questions, let me know. Here to chat, here to have some fun. Yeah, so Edstrom's a little bit older. Production isn't quite there. Never has been. Just solid C minus. Like, has some bottom six potential, but not really going to be great. Dylan Garand is a goalie that I think is okay. Probably not going to be like... It's tough because he's going to be behind Igor Shesterkin, but the Rangers are also going to be a good team. His numbers in Kamloops were fine, but Kamloops is also a really good team when he was playing there. And so I think that's kind of one of those weird... He's fine. His AHL numbers aren't great. His playoff numbers in the AHL are fantastic. So maybe a big gamer. We'll leave him at a C+, just as like some potential there, but nothing here huge. Roby Jarventi is another forward for the Habs who is younger with some upside, but I think it is a little bit on the limited side. Yeah, so he's a point per game at the AHL this year, point per game, a little bit under a point per game last year. This year would have been his 21 to turning 22 season, so you'd like to see a little bit more pop. I think C+ is very fair for him. He's a 6'2" forward, so he's getting some opportunity there. He's put up points. Early second round pick. Definitely some potential there. Player to keep your eye on. I think he'll net out as like kind of a top 9 forward. Then his teammate Angus Crookshank has one of the best names in all of prospects, but at the end of the day, I think he's just going to be a kind of bottom 6 forward. He has production at the AHL level, but he's also already 24. He's turning 25 at the start of next season. His NCAA production was never the best. Same with his BCHL production. Like, it was fine, but you'd like to see a little bit more just to really bump him up a tier. Kind of just a solid C for me. Should be hopefully like a bottom 6 forward. Nothing fancy. And then finally, the third Ottawa Young Gun is Yuri Smykel. He is okay. He is, older, not a ton of offensive upside, and kind of just for that reason, he's going to end up being kind of a D tier for me. I just don't see a ton of upside with him. And yeah, Mark Johnstone for the Pittsburgh Penguins is up next, and he's okay. Nothing fancy. I should probably write their positions down while I'm doing this too. But, Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson, again, older. Yeah, another D tier guy, just older, not a ton of offensive upside. And at the end of the day, like, offensive is what matters. So, yeah. D is an 11. Magnus Corona is a goalie. I fed to the Sharks literally this season. I think probably just tough to evaluate that because like their teams aren't the best. Has never had the strongest of seasons. I think he might net out as kind of like a solid backup type goalie, so probably like a C plus on him, or probably a C, maybe a C minus. We'll give him a C for now, just to be safe. I feel more confident in a C minus. Probably a backup goalie. I just don't see the starter potential. It's just tough in San Jose, and like the other thing with San Jose is that likely by the time that they're good, he'll be in his like close to his 30s, so he'll be at the prime. But in that point in time, I'm gonna guess they have another. They'll have Devin Cooley there, who I just don't see him being the best goalie on his team, and he's not special enough to warrant like, hey, maybe there's something there. Maybe he'll get traded. I just think he's gonna be a solid Neto at a backup type guy, which is fine. That's a really really high end hockey player. It's just not quite enough. So Ryan Winterton is a player that I would be pretty optimistic about. Just turned 20, had a decently strong season in the OHL last year. Had a very solid AHL year, 22 goals in 58 games. He's doing okay for them in the Calder Cup playoffs. Also worth noting that his coach is going to be the head coach of the Kraken next year, which is going to probably provide him with just a little bit of extra opportunity. And so for that reason, I have him as a kind of low-end, mid-end top six forward. I'd probably put him at that B to B minus tier. I'll leave him probably at a B for now. He'll be like at the bottom end of the B tier, but yeah. And then Riker Evans, his teammate in Seattle, is a player that I'm very, very high on. I really like his game. It's just the only downside is that he is a defenseman and just kind of one of those defensemen that I think he'll be a top four defenseman that can score. I don't know if he'll quite be a number two, like a second pairing or like first pairing guy. I think he's good, but not quite there. So I'm just going to leave him at that B minus. It's again, a very safe play, but at the end of the day, I think that is kind of a fair grade for him. I think between him and Ryan Winterton, he's the better player. It's just value wise, you always generally want to bet on a forward rather than a defenseman. And that is really all there is to it. Yeah. Next up, we have Dennis Hildeby, who is the Leafs backup goalie. He will probably sell a little bit better than what you expect. Just, again, Leafs. Leafs always sell well. One of the most famous rules is Leafs sell well. 22 years old, has decent numbers throughout his career, good AHL numbers. Probably nets out at a C plus, like not gonna be the world beater, but gonna be just a solid guy. Same thing with Linus Karlsson for Vancouver. I think he's got legit like third line potential kind of. I don't know if he will have top six upside. This is his make or break it year, I think. I think the Canucks really trust him. They trust him to play some playoff games at the NHL level this year. At the AHL level, he's been fine. Like he was a point per game this year. He had a really good SHL year a couple years ago. Last year in the AHL was kind of rough, but that transition to North American pro hockey is always a little bit tougher. I think I'm fairly comfortable putting him at a C plus, where it's one of those just like he is a very good player, but I don't expect him to fully pop into a top six role. He might be a guy that slides and slots in there every once in a while, but ultimately at the end of the day, I just don't know if he's going to cut it there. So based off of just where his track record is and what his age is. And then finally, that leaves us at Ivan Miroshnichenko, the Capitals prospect. Lots of reasons to like him. He's fairly young, just turned 20 this season. Pretty good offensive upside. Yeah, what more can you say? Pretty good AHL numbers, doing well in the playoffs for Hershey. Things you just like seeing from a player. So just a solid, I'd say, like, kind of could be a top 6 forward, probably on the same thing as Ryan Winterton, where it's a lower end chance. For that reason, I think I'll probably just leave him at a B. He might end up at a B minus. It depends on how harsh I want to be on the grades. So that leaves us with a total of, if we swap over to it, leaves us kind of with a total of 2 A pluses in Fantilli and Cooley, 2 A's in Kulich and Simon Nemec, 1 A minus in, Yuri Kulich is an A minus. I had Matthew Savoy with the other A, but I think they're all pretty close. No B pluses. I might bump up Rose into there just because I think he's a little bit better. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. I think there's just enough of a gap between him and the rest of the Bs, but he might end up as a B and I bump the rest down. But for the sake of this, we'll do that. That leaves us with 3 Bs, who are Georgi Merkulov. A little bit less certain on his overall upside, but I think there's enough potential there that you want to at least hold on to his young guns. B minuses in Heineman, and then Evans as well. I like Evans more than Heineman. Heineman probably nets out as like a true talent C plus player for me. Probably C plus. So it's just, he gets that Habs boost. Bs, I also have Winterton and Miroshnichenko. I think they're very soft Bs. They're probably more B minuses, but as you can tell, this is kind of where your young gun value is going to come from in a product. This is kind of where you like to have some safety nets. And then given that I have some soft grades up here, like if I were being a little bit harsher, I'd probably keep Rosen at a B. I'd probably bump like Merkulov down to a B minus. I do like, Heineman, like if I'm giving them their true like long-term grades, probably C plus there. I'd probably bump Winterton down to B minus, and I'd probably bump Miroshnichenko down to B minus. Like this is kind of where I view the true talent of this class is, and you really want the young guns in here to be super strong, which they are. You have essentially 5 players that I think can grade out as a everyday impact player, which is really good from a 29 card crop. You have these kind of like your B tiers are your sleeper players who you might want to place a couple bets on. Just see what kind of their team outlook looks like. If the team needs a bunch of cheap talent coming up and they're going to get opportunity to play on higher up in the lineup than what they would on, say, like a deeper team. So, for example, Boston's going to be a team that needs a lot of young talent. So, for that reason, they're going to end up probably wanting to get a good look at Merkulov. And if he gets the opportunity, he could thrive in it. So, but yeah. And then your C pluses is kind of like, these players could potentially break out, but I'm not super optimistic about it. And then everyone else is just kind of like pack filler, for lack of a better phrase. Other big things worth pointing out is that first round picks tend to go for about 8 to 10% of their value. If you go through and look on eBay, so that would put the Bedard at about $40-ish, 30 to 40. And then the retros generally go for 25% of the base value, which would put it at about $100 or so for Bedard. Yeah, that is kind of my overall takes on extended. So, yeah. Again, 11 spots left. I'll probably have the full video later, but just a little bit of like walking you through the process. And I got to do all the fancy looks and stuff at the video, but we haven't moved any spots and it's kind of been an hour already at this point. So I think I'm going to hop offline. We'll keep the combo spots open up. We might open up some new ones next week. Check an eye out Monday for breaks. Yeah, take care, everyone, and have a good rest of your day. See ya.